Hello, welcome to Friday. I am Tom Carnell. This is Carnell Knowledge, and I am sick as a dog. And my ribs still hurt, and but nothing will keep me from delivering the goods to you all. So if my throat starts to sound a little scratchy, or I may cough once or twice, I'll try not to. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. By way of introduction, again, my name is Tom Carnell. I was a buyer for Tower Records, warehouse, and record factory for about 20 years. I published and wrote Carpet Nocturne magazine in the 90s, and then for 2 decades, I wrote for Fangoria, Dread Central, and a little stint at what used to be called twitchfilm.com. I'm now an author. You can go to my Amazon page. There's a bunch of books, a bunch of short story collections, and there's a couple of 3 novels in there. Please remember to watch this video till the end. It really helps me with the algorithm. And if you have any questions or comments, do that down below. If there's something that you don't want to talk about publicly, you want to take it offline, go ahead and email me at tomcarnell@gmail.com. The format of the show is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I post about a 25 to 30-minute video detailing 5 movies, 5 books, and 5 records that may have slipped through the cracks, may have just come out in the last year or so. Is really anything that just hits my ear or hits my eye, and I think deserves a little more respect and a little more exposure, and I do what I can here on the show. As always, please subscribe to the channel. That really helps me with the algorithm. Like the video, comment, and if you would, please share it to your social media. That would really help me out a lot. Let's get started. We're going to start with movies. The first movie is from 1981. It is available on Tubi. It was originally called Et tu vivrai nel terrore la aldea. It's mostly known as Lucio Fulci's The Beyond. It's one of his masterpieces. I think this and Gates of Hell are best known. If you don't have this tin, you should try to find it out there. It comes with a pretty extensive booklet, along with some interviews and some insights and some press stuff. You can see it's pretty cool. It also comes with a series of postcards that are kind of cool about the film and that kind of a thing. So we're going to set that aside. The film itself was directed again by Lucio Fulci, stars Katerina McCall and David Warbeck. The synopsis is as follows. A young woman inherits an old hotel in Louisiana where, following a series of supernatural accidents, she learns that the building has been built over one of the entrances of hell. That was a trope, the 7 Gates of Hell, that Fulci used a lot. It was used in the movie Gates of Hell as well. The Book of Eibon, featured prominently throughout the book, is a fictional grimoire created by American author and artist Clark Ashton Smith. It's a recurring element within the Cthulhu mythos cycle of literature initiated by H.P. Lovecraft. It talks about the resurrection of the dead, demonic entities, and that kind of thing. My good buddy Sean Lewis has had Iban Press, which does a lot of extensions. There's like a sequel to The Beyond. There's a bunch of stuff. It's all in comic form, and they are beautiful pieces of work. They are available out there. You can find them or on Sean's Etsy store. He's got all sorts of really cool stuff over there. Fulci directed this as the second entry in his Gates of Hell trilogy. The other 2 films in the thematic series are City of the Living Dead, aka Gates of Hell, and House by the Cemetery. It's interesting. A couple interesting things I found when Emily is attacked by the seeing eye dog. Spoiler. The injuries specifically target her sensory organs. This I didn't even realize until I read this. The dog bites her throat, tears off her ear, gouges out her eyes. This serves as a practical, albeit gruesome, cinematic representation of see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Kind of cool. I didn't realize that, and I've been a fan of this film forever. The film is Fulci at his best, at his eye-gouging best. There's a great score by Fabio Frizzi, who is fantastic. There is a couple of things in it. There's a kind of enjoyable / laughable spider attack sequence that's just, it's too great to miss. Again, gratuitous eye gougings, very graphic. There is a whipping by a chain that was first done in Don't Torture a Duckling, but it really pays off on this one. It's done in the first like 15 minutes. And there's a morgue sequence towards the end of the film, like at the beginning of the third act, that is impressive as all get out. There's a shot to the head. There's an acid melting, and it's pretty wild. Being honest, the ending of this will leave you scratching your head a little bit. It still doesn't make sense to me, and I've watched this film hundreds of times. But yeah, overall, I don't think it's Fulci's best film. I reserve that, as I've said in previous episodes, for The Psychic, or AKA Seven Notes in Black. But it's up there. It's definitely up there. It's got an audacity to it. I think it and City of the Living Dead earned him the moniker of the Godfather of Gore. It's great. If you haven't seen The Beyond, you should. It's not for kids, but it's one of those cornerstones of the genre that you got to see it. You got to see it to be well versed at the very least. Moving on to the next film, 2019. This is also available via Tubi. Where's my sponsorship, Tubi? It's called, I've mentioned this film before, it's called All the Colors of Giallo. It's directed by Federico Cadeo. I mentioned it during the Eurocrime review I did, and a couple of others I want to say, also the Ennio Morricone thing that I mentioned. Stars Dario Argento, Lamberto Bava, Barbara Boucher, Edvig Fenech, all hail the Queen. It's a lot of talking heads talking about the genre. It's a celebration of Giallo with interviews and many contributors, aka Giallo filmmakers. If you don't know anything about Giallo or Gialli, this is a great place to start. I've included in the links down there a YouTube clip that does. There's a piece of some other video, but also the entire film. And yeah, I mean, my love of Giallo is well documented here on this channel, and I think that this is a good reason, or if you ever wondered why, here's a good explanation. Again, a terrific subgenre that I've traced its beginnings from the briefly the film noir of the 40s and 50s. Through the German Krimi films of the early 60s, Italian Giallo in the late 60s, early 70s. Late 70s, it was the Spanish Giallo, and then John Carpenter brought it all here to America as the American slasher. Again, you need to see these kind of things once in a while just to be able to get up on your history, and you all know how big I am on history. Yeah, this is a fine film, and I think, again, it's seminal viewing if you want to call yourself a horror fan. Up next, a film from 2016, also available on Tubi, originally titled La Belle et la Bete, aka Beauty and the Beast. It's directed by Christophe Gans, who did the Silent Hill films and Brotherhood of the Wolf. Stars Vincent Cassel and Léa Seydoux. I'm not even going to give you a synopsis because you know what that synopsis is, but I'll say this: this is a beautiful film. It is far better than the Bill Condon thing that was done later. It's far better than the animated thing. There's no dancing furniture, crockery, or tableware in this. It's much more serious. I will say that there is a ton of CG in this version. But it's a lovely film, and with great performances and great set design, and it's just fantastic. See it if you can. Again, it's on Tubi for free. Up next, 1966, again available on Tubi. I mentioned this film in a previous episode. It's Navajo, directed by the other Sergio Corbucci. It stars Aldo Sambell and Burt Reynolds. The synopsis is: a Native American warrior seeks revenge on a gang of sadistic scalp hunters turned bank robbers who massacre his tribe. It's interesting that Reynolds did this film because he doesn't listen well. And he was told Sergio Corbucci, and he thought Sergio Leone. It wasn't until he got on set that he realized that, oh, this is a different guy. He tried to pull out, but it was too late. They had him contractually. Originally, Corbucci wanted Marlon Brando to star, which I don't know how that works. I mean, Brando wasn't at his most corpulent, but he was still getting up there in age, and this is a fairly energetic role. Burt Reynolds once described the film as being so awful it was shown only in prisons and airplanes because no one could leave. I killed 10,000 guys, wore a Japanese slingshot and a fright wig. That said, Burt Reynolds is fantastic in this. He supervised all of being a stuntman, he supervised all the stunts in the film. So I don't know where he comes off saying that the movie is so terrible when he has such a big hand in it. The score was done by Ennio Morricone and was reused in later films like Kill Bill 1 and 2, and of all things, the 1999 film Election. Despite what Burt Reynolds says about the film, he's in fine form. It's worth seeing. There is a little cultural appropriation in that you've got Burt Reynolds playing a Native American. But it was the mid-'60s, so that kind of stuff happened all the time, and you can either have it be a problem or you can just sort of go, that's too bad, and then you move on and enjoy the film. And then finally, this is a real oddity thing. It's from 2018, again, available on Tubi. It's originally called La Casa Lobo, aka The Wolf House, directed by Joaquin Colina and Cristabel Leon. It stars Amalia Kasai, Rainier Krause, and Karina Hyland. It tells the story of Maria, a young woman who takes refuge in a house in southern Chile after escaping from a German colony. It took 5 years to make this because it is 100% stop motion, and it was done on their dime. There wasn't a big studio behind it. The sets were built in real human size and exhibited among various venues in multiple countries during the process of production. The director had what he called a decalogue with 10 rules to animate, and I'm going to go through those real quickly. Number 1, this is painting on camera. Couldn't agree more. Number 2, there are no dolls. 3, everything can be transformed as a sculpture. 4, it never goes to black. There is no black frame in the film. 5, the film is a one-shot sequence. I don't know, maybe. 6, the movie tries to be normal despite the fact that it's everything but normal. 7, the color is symbolic. The camera is never in the same position within 2 consecutive frames. 9, Maria is beautiful. 10, it is a workshop, not a set. This film is impressive, although it's a little hard to follow. Sometimes the animation, their desire to be so pure to stop motion that it kind of gets in the way once in a while, and it makes things a little sketchy, a little confusing. Oh, and this film is decidedly not for kids. There's a whole history behind it. You can look it up on Wikipedia. They have a whole detail of it, about Germans that had moved to South America and they were seen poorly. Excuse me. And yeah, it is what it is. I enjoyed it. I think it's interesting enough that even if you aren't in love with the storyline, you got to be impressed by the filmmaking and by the overall arc of the film. Let's see, moving on to books. We're going to start with a book from 2022. It's called Comparative Anatomy, The Best of Stephen Gallagher by Stephen Gallagher. Gallagher was a guy who wrote some novelizations of the Doctor Who books. He was called the finest British writer of best-selling popular fiction since John le Carre. I don't know that I would agree with that. The themes in the book are life, death, and the supernatural via ghosts, family, and bizarre religions. Given all of that, given Gallagher's pedigree, I don't know that I would agree with half of that. My rule of the good, the bad, and the ugly definitely apply here. There are things that are very, very interesting in this book. There are other things that aren't. I got it based on a short story of his that I read in another collection. That story was fantastic, and these are not so much. They're interesting and they're good and they're well written, but I didn't feel that it lived up to my expectations. And hey, maybe that's on me. I don't know. Take that for all of it for what it's worth. Moving on. Again, in my investigations of things, I like to go back into the past. There are things that you will always hear about or see on film, and you think, "Oh, that's genius," and then you realize that 100 years ago, these stories were already being discussed and had already been tabled. In this case, this is 1904. It's written by Arthur Machen, and it's called The White People. Now, at the beginning, I'm going to say it's a misleading title. I think The Pale People might have been a little better. This isn't about white supremacy or any of that other nonsense. It just has to do with people that are in the woods that are fairly pale in complexion. An actor, journalist, devotee of Celtic Christianity and the Holy Grail legend, Welshman Arthur Machen is considered one of the fathers of weird fiction, a master of mayhem whose work has drawn comparisons to H.P. Lovecraft and Edgar Allan Poe. The storyline is essentially that a man finds a diary of a young girl who is initiated into a secret pagan world of magic by her nurse. This, again, is a foundational work of weird fiction. It's often cited as a classic and seminal work. There are those that would say that it may have influenced the writing of Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth. It definitely, the 2019 Kingfisher novel, The Twisted Ones, is a contemporary take on the story. I enjoyed it. The language is a little stilted and a little stiff, but it's 1904. So once you make that adjustment, periodically when my wife and I watch something or we talk about something, a book or something, I will always preface it by saying it's 1904, so you adjust your attitudes accordingly. It's the same way with NAVAJO. Once you realize that it was made in the mid-60s, you have to, and you adjust your attitude or your perspective, you understand, and it doesn't seem quite so offensive. Moving on to 2016, the late James A. Moore did a book called This Is Halloween, and I want to talk about This Is Halloween 2. In the book, James offers up 10 autumnal tales of darker things that lurk just around the corner of Indian summer. It is a collection of 10 interconnected stories. The title is a bit of a misnomer because they're not all Halloween tales. Some just fall under the auspices of late summer, early fall, that kind of a thing. I will say, trigger warning on this book, which I didn't expect it to have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's a lot of rape and violence towards women in this book, which seems weird given what a nice guy James A. Moore was. He sexualizes young girls pretty repeatedly in this book, and those kind of things people will have might have problems with. For me, it was more of a hiccup, more of a like, I didn't expect that from James, but the stories are well written. They were all influenced by things like Stephen King, H.P. Lovecraft, Clive Barker, Harlan Ellison, and the great Ira Levin. Sidebar, if you're into science fiction, read Ira Levin's book, This Perfect Day. It's very much of the Brave New World and Logan's Run thing. I love that book. I read it as a kid, and it was just fantastic. Enjoyable, but again, there's some bumps in the road, so be forewarned about all that. The next book, excuse me, is from 2004. It's Gemma Files, The Worm in Every Heart. This is her second collection. It features the award-winning The Emperor's Old Bones story, winner of the 1999 International Horror Guild Award for Best Short Fiction. Something I read said that the book was reminiscent of Poppy Z. Bright, Kathy Koja, and Caitlin R. Kiernan, which I don't think is fair. All of those people are very distinct in their writing style, as is Gemma Files, and I think it's lazy to lump them all together just because they're female. So take of that what you will. This is a very decent collection. I enjoyed a lot of it. Again, I always going to repeat this, that with all short story collections, even my own, there are what many would consider the good, the bad, and the ugly. There are things that are going to resonate with you. There are things that aren't going to resonate with you. And there are things you're going to flat out hate. I've had feedback on some of my stuff where people will say, wow, I really didn't like that story. But to me, it's like a baby. It's one of my children. I don't get how you could have missed what the point of it all was. But what are you going to do? You make art, you put it out in the world, and then let the world judge. Again, well written, with stories firmly in keeping with the good, the bad, and the ugly stuff. Gemma Files is great. All of her books are great. I have thoroughly enjoyed her writing in the past. And again, I enjoyed a good portion of The Worm in Every Heart. And finally, a book from 1950. This is a classic, Mickey Spillane, Vengeance is Mine. Storyline goes, Mike Hammer wakes up in a hotel room, and a buddy he went on a blackout bender with the previous night has a hole in his chest. The finger of suspicion is pointed his way. He loses his PI license, but finds a loophole via his secretary also seems to have a PI license, which is convenient. It's the third Mike Hammer book. It's hard-boiled fiction. It's, palookas and dames and guys with guns, and everyone smokes and everyone drinks at all hours of the day. Hard-boiled, but dated. My trigger warning on this one is that it uses some phrases that are no longer acceptable. At one point, he shoots a trans person in the back, and that's a little eyebrow-raising. But Spillane is a legend. Hammer is iconic. But again, they're both very much products of their own time, and you should keep that in mind as you read it. But in everyone's life, in every reader's life, you got to read a Mike Hammer book. It's very sort of, these kind of guys, if you know what I mean. Hard-boiled, not too polite, quick with a gun, quick with a punch. And that's one of the things that make them enjoyable. Moving on to records. In 2024, the group is called Balthvs, Balthvs. The record is called Harvest. This is smooth music, very diggable, if you know what I mean by diggable. Blends psychedelia and funk with Middle Eastern melodies absolutely seamlessly. Very much enjoyable, very much a thing of its own, even though there are elements, there are threads that you'll find that remind you of other people. This reminded me a lot of bands like Glass Beams and Khruangbin. It's good stuff. Perfect for late night, perfect for chilling out, perfect for late afternoon when you're winding down your day. I very much enjoyed this record. Up next from 2025, the group is called Nadt Orchestra, N-A-D-T Orchestra. They're from Bologna, Italy. This blends old school and new school jazz. It's horn-led, but it's definitely still a band. This is something that came to me via Spotify's albums you might enjoy, and boy, did I ever. Again, go to the description. You'll find YouTube playlists for the entire record, and you can judge for yourself. Don't just take what I'm saying for it. After that, 2025, this was something that I was really excited about. The record is called Dark Universe. It's by Danny Elfman. It's music from the Universal Studios Universal Monster section of their park. It's a perfect match of composer and subject matter. If anybody understands the allure of the Universal Monster movies, it's Danny Elfman. And this is totally a Danny Elfman record. Reminded me of things like Jerry Goldsmith, Bernhard Herrmann, Franz Waxman, and Hans J. Salter, who did a lot of the music for the Universal stuff. What can I tell you? It's orchestral, it's big, it's bombastic, it's very heroic at times, it's very melancholy at times. But boy, did I love this record. I put it on in the car, and it was awesome. Driving around, listening to this sort of, huge orchestra music that had definitely dark themes to it. Thoroughly enjoyable. Again, Danny Elfman, Dark Universe. Two more. This just came out maybe a week ago. Excuse me. It's a new Pat Metheny. It's called Side-EYE III Plus. This is a return to old school Pat Metheny. It reminded me a lot of Kin, of the very first Pat Metheny group, record, which I reviewed here. It reminded me of American Garage. And I love Pat Metheny. Pat Metheny can go off into the weeds. He did an entire record with Ornette Coleman. So, but when he lands it, and it's just perfect. And this record is full of moments like that. You can find it all over the place. It's streaming. You can pick it up for a song on places online. If you haven't looked into the music of Pat Metheny, you should. Just remember that he's an artist and it goes into phases. I mentioned him playing on the Joni Mitchell Shadows and Light record. I mentioned him with the very first Pat Metheny group record, which I dearly love. I saw the American Garage tour, and so there's a deep place in my heart for the music of Pat Metheny, and this new record is it's really stellar. And then finally, we're going to end on a quiet note. This also just came out like a week ago. The Italian pianist and composer Ludovico Einaudi, E-I-N-A-U-D-I. He has a record called Solo Piano that just came out again. This is a wonderful solo piano record. It's quiet, it's stoic, it's beautiful. It reminded me of the music of things like Jan Tiersen, Max Richter, George Winston, Bill Evans, and Philip Auberg. This is a great album to put on late at night. It's a great record to put on during dinner. It's unobtrusive if you want it to be, but it also, or what I call passive listening, but it's also ripe for active listening, where you're actually sitting there with headphones and you're focused on what's just going on. It's a perfect record to read to. I did that a couple nights ago, and thoroughly enjoyed it. I think that's going to do it. It's a lot. Again, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I appreciate you for subscribing if you have. If you haven't, you should. Again, comment if you have a question about anything. Comment if some of these things that are things that you also love. I'm always interested in hearing that. Questions, I'm happy to field. I usually answer them as soon as I get a ping on my computer. I will answer you right straight away. And please, if you would, share this video to your social media. That's going to do it for this week. I'll be back. I've got a whole nother list over here of things for next week that I'm still pulling together. So if you have some suggestions, go ahead, comment below. Yeah, other than that, we'll see you next on Monday, and have a good week.